pending final legal review, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Support.
We have motion by Vice Mayor St. Clair, supported by Commissioner German. Welcome.
Hi, Twana Thompson, EEO and Employee Relations Director for the City of Muskegon. I have Brett Buckingham here from Alliance, our new EAP provider.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Brett Buckingham with Alliance, as Dwana said, and basically just wanted to let you know that the selection for your EAP it's the industry standard for what you're picking out. Most EAPs offer 3 visits or 5 visits, and with this program you'll be getting basically unlimited flexible visits for each person, and it's a great way for you to be able to support the employees of the City of Muskegon in their mental health and being able to provide them with that best support. And then the U First program is a program that's specifically designed for first responders that has some special benefits and things that are added for them, so that as they're dealing with those day-to-day traumas, we can be supporting them as well. And so I'm happy to be here, and I've never done this before, so in a city council meeting at least. So.
Nice. Vice Mayor St. Clair?
Thanks. Can you explain for those who don't know what an employee assistance program is, what you do?
Sure. So an employee assistance program is basically an added benefit that organizations can add to for their employees that provides them mental health support in addition to what their regular health care plan might provide. And so with this program, all employees will have access to unlimited counseling sessions with local counselors for any sort of short-term solution-focused counseling, as opposed to looking at longer-term issues that they might need to see. Death of a loved one or just work stress, those types of things. There's some other benefits that are added, life coaching and things as well.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner German, do you have anything to ask or add at this time?
Not at the moment.
Commissioners, anything? Okay. Well, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for staff before we go to roll call? Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, E, poverty exemption updates. Commissioner Kilgo.
Move for the commission to approve the recommended changes to the attached poverty exemption policy.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Kilgo, supported by Commissioner Keener. Welcome.
Evening. This
Would
is
you like to announce yourself?
Sorry, I'm Sarah Wilson, the city treasurer. I am actually submitting this for our assessing department. We contract with the county to do assessing, so I tend to be their contact. This is basically just housekeeping that we need to approve. About 2 years ago, I came before you and we made a change to the poverty exemption, during which we would phase out the exemption if a person were able to work and was not. We modeled that policy based on the city of Lansing, and we have since learned that there have been some decisions that have indicated that that will no longer stand up to a challenge. And so our assessor, Donna Vandevries, is recommending that we remove that from our policy at this time. In addition to that, we are adding a line that is asking people to file 2 particular forms. These actually have been required in the past, but they were created by each individual unit's assessor. The state has decided they wanted to standardize those forms, and so they have created those forms and given them a form number. So Donna simply asked that we list that on our policy as something that needed to be filed when someone files for the exemption. This change is not actually going to impact anyone. We don't have anyone that had been subject to the phase out. So no one's going to see a change because of what we're doing tonight. Like I said, it's basically housekeeping. The state has become more strict on their assessing standards in the last 10 or so years. Every 5 years, they audit each unit on a rolling basis. Ours is coming up, I believe, this year or next year. And so Donna reviews that policy every year as part of her preparing for our audit from the state.
Thank you, Treasurer Wilson. Commissioner Kilgo.
Thank you. For those who might not understand, can you just explain where the policy was? So who that poverty policy would impact when it came to the assessor's office? Can you explain that a little bit more in general?
If I'm understanding your question, absolutely. So this would impact anyone, and when I say anyone, it could be a family or a unit that is living within a dwelling, that owns their home, that live at or below the poverty line. And those poverty guidelines are set by the federal government. It's not set by us. They change every year based on inflation, just like everything else. And so anyone that lives at or below that poverty line, based on the number of people living in your home, could apply for that exemption. It affects around 100 households in our city, I believe. And there are a few other things that they would have to do. There's an asset test, a few other tests, and I don't have them in front of me, so I apologize. I don't know them all offhand. But the basic gist of it is they have to live at or below that poverty line in order to be exempt from their property taxes for the year.
Treasurer Wilson, can you, for our new members, explain what an asset test is?
Yes. Basically, they fill out a form that indicates what assets they have. So, do they have money in the bank that could be used to pay for these taxes above a certain amount? They're allowed to have a certain amount, but beyond a certain amount, they would need to claim that. Do they have more than one vehicle? Do they have assets that could be liquidated in order to pay those taxes? And that is also required by the state. This poverty policy is very much driven by state requirements. Very little of it is up to us. Did that help?
Follow up, Commissioner Kilgo?
Yeah, follow-up question.
Sure.
So, so the state is not making us remove this from our policy?
The state is not. Our assessor feels that it will not pass when the state audits it. And so it's not, at this point, they aren't requiring us to do it, but there have been legal decisions since we added that to our policy that indicate to her that it could be determined that that's not appropriate to have in our policy.
Okay, and if it only affects maybe around 100 citizens who fall at or below that poverty line, it wouldn't necessarily hurt the city to leave it on other than legal challenges to the rule?
Correct. And the reality is we probably would hardly ever use that phase out. It was put in place due to a couple of instances that were noticed where a home was purchased for a child that was in college. And because that child was in college, the child's name was put on the title of the house. The child was not working, and when I say child, I mean young adult. They were not working, and so they fell below that poverty line. And so then they were able to be exempt from taxes. It was a question of, is that what the policy was intended to do? And so this phase out had attempted to deal with those types of situations. They're very few and far between. But it was something that was presented to me by the assessor and said, hey, this is what the city of Lansing has done to deal with it. You could do this if you want.
Thank you.
Sure.
One final question for council. If it did become a legal challenge for us, could we remove it then at that time if we needed to remove it?
You could. I mean, let's be clear. What's being removed is the phase out, which is if we have approximately 100 taxpayers in the city that get the exemption, we're talking about, at this point, if I understand correctly, nobody's ever fallen in that phase out situation.
Gotcha.
So the answer to your question was yes.
Okay.
But I wanted clear. I thought the clarification might be helpful.
Vice Mayor St. Clair.
So, to clarify this a little more, The change that we are asking or being asked to make is not, we are not changing anything to the poverty exemptions in
Correct.
general. So anyone who is eligible for this will continue to be eligible for this.
Absolutely.
And more.
Yes.
So this will stop the possibility of somebody only being eligible for that. We voted on this like my second commission meeting, so I'm digging away in my brain trying to remember. There was a tiered system that they were going to be eligible for reduced amounts each year under certain circumstances, but this would be rolling that back so that anybody who is eligible will continue to be eligible for as long as they are eligible.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, more people would technically be eligible through this change.
Thank you.
And I apologize if I didn't explain that very clearly.
It's complicated.
Thank you.
That satisfies my question. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions or comments on this item at this time?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
That up.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, F, Frosty Boys 420 Party Cannabis Event. And that is Commissioner Kilgo.
Commission's looking to approve the cannabis event for Options Health Group LLC at 2119 Lemieux Street on 4/20/2024.
Second.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Kilgo, supported by Commissioner Keener, and DPW is reporting out. Care to introduce yourself, sir?
I am Dan Vanderhyde, Director of Public Works for the city. This is an event that came in through our special events application process. Because it is a cannabis event by state law, the city commission is required to approve it before the state can do what they need to do. And so you have with the item, the application that was presented to us. It was through our standard event process, or special event process, excuse me. It was reviewed by Public Works, Police, Fire, and a few other departments, all of which had no issues. And they did not know, but it looks like the event is here if there are any specific questions.
Excellent. Before we go to the event organizer, commissioners, do you have any questions for Director Vanderhyde at this time? No? All right. Well, let's hear from the organizers. You care to introduce yourself?
I am Janet Tombre, and this is
Selena Shananaquit.
and we represent the Frosty Boys 420 Cannabis Party. So we've been building our business for this will be year 3. And this event, we just wanted to celebrate like local artists, local vendors, food trucks in celebration of 420.
So we're going to have a Great Lakes Expungement Network there to be expunging records.
That's great.
Affected by the war on drugs, so we're here to help kind of bring that back around.
Excellent. Yeah, Great Lakes Expansion Network does excellent work. Yeah, we are definitely happy to have them back here in Muskegon doing the exposure thing. So thank you for incorporating that. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the event organizers? Commissioner Keener.
My business does cannabis for the last few years as a food vendor, and one of the things I noticed on last year was that there were a number of people who needed med support. I don't see anything in here for the event details about medical support, such as ambulance.
Speaking of like having them out, we still need to put that all together.
I also am looking to see, I see how the setup is going to be. Are you going to have cool down areas in case people get a little bit,
So we actually have a really nice wooded area. So there's a lot of shade. We've got multiple different tents and couches for people to hang out. Water station. And then we also have the dispensary. Reception area, they could do that easily.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Keener. Any other questions? Commissioner Kilgo.
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions about security. Your event, I've never attended any of your events, so I don't know about security. Do you have private security for your events as well as MPD?
So in the past, we've just used our employees for security. We have about 50. We're kind of toying with the idea of hiring a private company, see if it works in our budget, but we like to use as much as possible. So we're still kind of trying to decide if that's something that's necessary.
And as far as incidents, because this is your third year that you've had an event, as far as the previous 2 years, as far as things where you would need security or police, have you had many incidents?
We've had 0.
Not at all. And they've been smaller in the past years, but we've had a really great customer base and not had any issues.
And if I could clarify, 420 is one of our biggest days for our food truck. And across the city, I've not seen issue at any of these events thus far.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cochin.
Thank you. First off, I wanted to say thank you guys for creating this event. I think that there's a lot of people in the community that enjoy that kind of thing. I've got some friends who have gone to your events in previous times, and they said that they had a very good time and they felt very safe. So I appreciate you guys doing that. One of the things that came to my mind when I was looking at the agenda packet was what my other commissioners had mentioned was the security and the ambulance. But one thing that has not been addressed yet that I always think about whenever we're talking about a substance is making sure people are getting home safe. Is there going to be some kind of way that you're going to make sure people aren't driving intoxicated?
Definitely. That would be a part of, and every event that we've had, we've made sure to do consumption control. I usually run the DAB bar, so I know when somebody's overconsumed, and all of our employees are trained in that same way. And we also have CBD, which kind of negates THC. So it can kind of bring you back down if you need to and take a rest and try some CBD.
The event also closes at 7, so it's not going into the wee hours of the night.
Any follow-up, Commissioner Cochin? Any other questions or comments? Yes, Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and welcome. I was just noticing on your little flyer here, your entrance for ticket booth, you do ID checks, which is good.
Yep.
And
We'll have badges.
oh,
or,
okay, that's what I was
yep.
going to ask next. Okay, wristbands or whatever. Okay, to identify. Now, will they? Well, I guess it's not a need. Is there alcohol also being served here? Okay. And I noticed that it's not fenced around or gated or anything like that, is it? Okay.
Back part of it kind of is on the Seaway way, and then there's the train tracks, but up that way it is, there is a fence, but where the train tracks are, there is.
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering. I'm glad you brought that up because that could be a back entrance for anyone that wanted to kind of legally get in, or so will there be security or anything?
There's going to be lots of security.
Great.
We'll have at least 10 employees out there.
Okay, thank you.
And because it's in the daylight too, there's a clear view of all of that too, and plus the wristbands that we're gonna have would be quite obvious to people.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments or questions at this time, Commissioners? All right, thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item H, Cruise Park stairs. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
I move to authorize staff to enter into a contract with North Shore Property Solutions for $38,500 for the construction of Cruise Park stairs.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Mayor St. Clair, supported by Commissioner Keener. Welcome. If you introduce yourself, sir.
All right, yes, so I'm Kyle Kraczewski, Parks and Rec Director for the City of Muskegon. I want to start off by apologizing if what was taken out of context from the line about Brad Hastings in the document. He's been very helpful, as he stated in a, he's someone we can bounce ideas off of. He's not the decision-making body or a paid consultant. And he, we've agreed that currently what is there is not accessible for anyone. So, again, my apologies. He's been very supportive, huge advocate. In no way was he looking to help us get around, find a backdoor to do this project. He was just someone who's the voice of the, of the community. So getting to the project, it's been a controversial issue in the park system since I started a year ago. About a month or two in, I met with Chris Willis and multiple residents out at Cruzy Park who had asked for steps. I've also been to different, went to the BBNA potluck when I first started that first month as well, and the residents there explained their desire to improve the access, whether that be a ramp or a staircase. And so we do have the plan that was part of our 2022 master plan. It's important to note that it's $1 million for the ramp, but the actual the entire project was 3 phases, and that's $1.9 million to restore the access. So, as you heard from Brad, I've definitely bounced a lot of ideas and creative ways that we could restore access, but it's definitely a difficult situation. As you can see, we are there's master planning, park conceptual concepts on the agenda as well. Cruzy Park is one of those parks, and accessibility is a large point of that as well. We just have upwards of $10 million worth of projects and issues in our park system, and we are trying to find a way to restore some access while we take the time to look at our entire park system, and all of Cruzy Park especially, to try to get some people down to the beach, and of course that's not everyone, which we're not, I'm not happy about, but it is just the current situation that our park system is in. So as far as accessibility, we have made strides in accessibility. We have a beach wheelchair that can go into Lake Michigan. On the way we have a second beach wheelchair. We've put out the Moby Mat at Harbortown Beach. We have the hard decking at Pier Marquette. So we really have tried to make it accessible where it's manageable. That dune, the topography of Cruzy Park makes it extremely difficult to provide that. I went down there today, and the dune has, it's shifted even more since about a month when I went over there and looked at it, and I'm not sure how that the switchback would fit, but it was obviously drawn up with a good plan from a good company. But with how much the dune has shifted, I guess a big point of having the stairs put there was because the serious erosion that's happening there, and trying to stopgap that while we figure out this complicated issue, not just at Cruzy Park, but in all of our park systems. It's also not like I had said, it's not the end of the search for an accessible solution. As even last week, I talked with a company that does dune trams, and I don't want, the ideas I threw back and forth at Brad to be thought of as something we're moving forward with as far as looking at other beaches and locations for a dog beach. None of those would be would be set and regulated without public input. We definitely know that beaches are important. We would never take those away. That would probably be, say it's probably about a 10-step process to changing something major like that. And when it comes to people with disabilities, that's always the first person I would bounce it off of, and several other people after that. So I don't want anyone thinking that we're changing the layout of our beaches. But of course, we are exploring all options because it's something that is important to us.
Thank you, Director Karczewski.
Yeah.
Also, just to give some more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before,
Historical.
very important part of this as well. I don't know how I missed out. The Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, which was established to represent all the wards, was the group that they collectively encouraged me to find funding, and to find funding due to the fact that the majority of beaches on Lake Michigan do have a set of stairs just like this.
Thank you. So a little bit of historical context or background, which precedes Director Karczewski's arrival with the city. At Cruzy Park, we did have a boardwalk with stairs and ramp going down to the beach. That, due to high water, was damaged and became inaccessible. That was in 2020, I believe that's happened. And so we've now gone 4 seasons without access at what is our dog beach, is what is commonly known as the dog beach. At Cruzy Park, and so that's not been accessible, and folks have been people that are physically able to just using the dunes and causing erosion and walking down there and climbing back up instead of having the stairs or the ramps to access. In 2021, DPW presented 3 different proposals for reconstructing the boardwalk. Those were presented to the public. The public had opportunity to give input as well as to indicate which one was their favorite or preferred configuration. One proposal was identified as the way we wanted to go. The city had sought a specific high water grant to help significantly defray the cost of that boardwalk, because it was going to be awfully expensive in the millions of dollars, and that cost has only gone up since then. And so that is part of the reason for the delay and why this is coming to us now. We're 4 seasons. This would be the 5th season if we do not provide this restored stair access. It now would be 5 seasons in which Cruzy Park is inaccessible completely, unless you are eroding the dunes themselves to get down and back. So this was, as Director Karczewski mentioned, this was brought to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee that was newly formed at the end of last year. That committee reviewed it, and it was a unanimous decision of the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee to proceed with an RFP, request for proposal, to restore at least stair access. And there was discussion at that time with regard to accessibility, because the committee is interested, as well as our staff and members of the community, and I know our commissioners are as well keenly interested in accessibility. And so they discussed that, and the thought was moving forward with the stairs now to at least provide that immediate access, while then also the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee had asked to do a dedicated master plan, an individual master plan for the entirety of Cruzy Park, and that's not just the boardwalk, the playground, the pavilions, everything, and looking how we could improve accessibility that way as well. In the meantime, because that's going to be taking a little while to develop that plan, and then identifying the funding mechanisms for implementing all of that within the master plan. In the meantime, there was an exploration of other ways to provide at least access, temporary access, or it could end up turning into a permanent form of access. Director Karczewski mentioned the possibility of, in addition to the stairs, what did you call that?
A dune lift.
Dune lift at the stairs. I also had looked at the curve, putting Moby mats out at the curve just past Beechwood to connect to Cruzy Park that way, so that you could have that level of accessibility. The dilemma there, and that's one of the things that he was referencing when he spoke with the Disability Network, when looking at that site, the grade is too steep at that curve. More recently, we looked at, or I had conversations with DPW about the prospect of extending the dog beach further north and trying to get a lower grade, and so then providing a Moby mat from the road and the parking area to Lake Michigan. And so there's that additional accessibility that way, which could then be the boundary between non-dog beach, dog beach. We do have movie mats that go down from the parking lot to the water's edge at Harbortown. We did that last year. It was worked out well, and people enjoyed it, and it was well received. We also have the accessibility boardwalk at the bathhouse at Pier Marquette that goes down to close to the water's edge. So there are some challenges that I was talking to Director Karczewski and Director Vanderheide earlier today with regard to that situation of expanding Dog Beach. There are some challenges. Doesn't necessarily make it impossible, but it just makes it challenging. It's going to merit further exploration. It's not necessarily a solution that is able to be presented tonight about that prospect. But I do anticipate that we'll be further exploring that to find a way to at least provide that level of accessibility there. Which in one regard, if you were able to provide that level of accessibility, it'd actually be more accessible than what existed even with the ramp previously, because the ramp at Cruzy Park went down to the beach but did not go past there. You might be able to find your way down to the ramp, but then you got to the beach, you couldn't go anywhere because it was just sand and challenging to maneuver.
And the ramp has 4 90-degree angles, which would be difficult for someone in a wheelchair too.
But we are getting the track wheelchair, which will be helpful in traversing the beach anywhere. But we do want to provide access at the dog beach, because that is a unique amenity that we have. And so we're keenly interested in that. Mr. Manager?
Yeah. So I just want to, thank our staff, our team members here for all the work that they put into this. A lot of times the work that we do is the work of the possible within the parameters that we have, and it's not always the ideal outcome that we want to have. And so I just want to make sure that I'm thanking Kyle and Dan and Matt and everybody on their team for the work that they're doing, and for our partners in our other organizations for the information that they give us to try to make more informed decisions. They really do work hard to bring good solutions to us. Not always perfect. It's the art of the possible. So I just want to make sure I thank you guys for all the work that you've done on this. It's appreciated.
Here, here. Vice Mayor St. Clair, I'm going to open up to you as you are the motion maker.
Thanks. Thank you for your very, very thorough overview. I know that you are a late arrival to this long and winding saga of the Dog Beach. I think that it is clear that it is an amenity that is really valuable to the community and is really sorely missed. I understand that this is not a perfect solution by any means, and I also want us to not let the perfect be the enemy of the good while we continue to look for perfect. You spoke a little bit about the Parks and Rec advisory board and their new and exciting work. But can you clarify, is this the recommendation that's coming from that body?
Yes.
Okay. And this is for the new commissioners. This is a new body that we have stood up with representatives from all over the community that we spent a lot of time and energy making sure was a diverse representation of the city. We spent hours trying to make sure that the Parks and Rec was represented by more than just the west side. So I look forward to continuing to try to find that perfect while we start off with where we are right now. We don't have $1 million. We just don't. And even if we had $1 million, I'm not sure that we could get what we had because the beach has changed significantly. And I know that this isn't the answer that everyone wants. And I don't know that we will ever have the answer that everyone wants, just because that's not how the world works sometimes. So I want to be respectful of acknowledging that this is not perfect. But right now, there is no safe way to get down to the beach for anyone. It is a very steep grade, and you can go down there and see the damage that is being done every day by people continuing to traverse the dune and making it less likely that we can fix it in the future. So I will support this because I think it is the right step for us to take at this point while we keep looking for more more access.
It's also quite difficult for staff to get down there for maintenance purposes. You know, actually, I went there when I first got here, and there's a tire down there, and carrying the tire up the eroded hill was, you know, I'm somewhat athletic, but that put me in my place.
Sure, you know, if somebody needs emergency assistance down there, how are we getting down there to them, and how are they getting back up? You know, it is still a really utilized place that isn't safe to be used in the way that it is.
Thank you, Vice Mayor St. Clair. Commissioner Keener, did you second this motion?
Yes, I did.
All right, I'm going to go to you if you have anything to ask or add at this time.
I don't.
All right, I'm open to the commission. Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes, hi Kyle. Thank you for being here this evening. I just have a question. With the continued degradation of the site where they're going to put the steps, we don't see North Shore Property Solutions changing their proposed contract to the city as far as how much it's going to cost, do we?
No, I guess can you clarify that so I'm answering you properly?
So right now it's February, and let's say they get out there when it's a little bit warmer, they go out in May or something, and they see that the grade's steeper or the damage is worse from this past winter that we've gone through. Hey, we're going to need to charge you $50,000 or $60,000. Do we see it, their quote to the city on how much to put the stairs in, changing dramatically?
No, you know, it's not allowed due to the 10% contingency. And also, they've been, I spoke to them, they've been doing these. It's very common for these jobs to be pretty volatile and to show up, and it's going to be different than it was a couple months before. And I actually called a couple of their past jobs, so they were very happy with it, and it was the same type of issue. And yeah, it's just a special type of construction, and that's just the nature of the beast when you do a job like this on a dune. Dunes usually don't look the same from year to year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo.
Or live dunes, yeah.
Commissioner Cochin.
Good evening. How are you doing tonight?
A little stressed, but all right.
I hear you. I am not going to make that any easier for you. I apologize in advance.
Yeah, it's all right. It's your
So,
job.
this is my ward. This is one of the big things that allowed me to be able to take my dog with me from an abusive relationship in Oklahoma up here to Muskegon, was saying, there's this dog beach, and somehow I got him to agree to let me take the dog because of the dog beach. So it's important to me. This proposal, I found the drawings of it the day before we were supposed to approve if that was the vendor that we were going to go with or not. And I brought it to the city manager's attention with the last 5 minutes of my meeting time with him. And the width between the rails, can you please explain to the commission and to the audience at home what exactly foot and inches are there going to be in width between railing to railing going down?
Well, it's 5 foot, and then you take off 8 inches with the posts on each side. So it's slightly less than 5 foot, which is, I believe, as we've stated publicly, we did see that these plans were they have at Rosie Mound, which is a popular park. We took those plans at, what we know of Rosie Mound. That's a very popular park that's get a lot of visitors. To speak on it a little further as far as, my experience. I previously worked for the town of Fort Myers Beach. 1.5 million residents in greater Fort Myers area, 2 million tourists a year to Fort Myers Beach. Many of them use the walking path over the bridge, and I even reached out to an old coworker to measure it, and that's 5 feet wide. So I know that, on paper, or, we measure ourselves and our dog, and hey, that's pretty wide, but it's a standard staircase width. So while, it could be bigger, could be 8, 10 feet. Of course, we're talking about, a much higher cost. And I guess to us, we had we felt, very confident in the plan that is used, not just at Rosie Mound, but several Lake Michigan beaches.
Thank you. And I spoke with the gentleman from the Parks Commission in regards to the Rosie Mound stairs specifically. And those stairs are not used as frequently as the Cruzy Park would see. And the reality of the situation, because I went out there and took a tape measure and measured our current staircase opening and walkway opening to see how much it is. And we currently have 6-foot boards that go across, and then we lose 7 inches. And so I remember going down those and having difficulty and having to leave my dog in front of me and keeping my beach bag like this while going down the stairs. And when you have dogs passing each other, it can get a little hairy sometimes. Even the most well-behaved dog does not like being that close to another dog. So I do have concerns in regards to the width of those stairs. And I know it is a little late to try to do anything because I believe we have to go for another request for proposal. Is that correct, if we make any changes to the plans?
It would be unfair to the other submitters to drastically change the project.
And the other question I had was, has the Eagle permit been submitted yet?
Yes, it was actually just approved a couple days ago.
Oh, it has been approved. Okay, excellent.
Yes.
Is there any way we can get those stairs so that the rails go on the outside so we are not losing 8 inches? Because I would really hate to waste taxpayers' money.
Yeah, I'll say 2 things. There's a lot of different structures out there. And I'm not trying to go back and forth. However, the current area that leads to the eroded dog beach staircase is 5-foot wide boards. I have a video I took of it, and if you want to talk afterwards, I can show you that. But it'd be a whole new engineer plan, really, if we did agreed. It'd be a whole new engineered specs.
Material change that would require.
Yeah, it'd be, it wouldn't, yeah.
So,
Mr. Manager, you have something to add?
yeah, so I just want to weigh in for a second on that. So that type of request is generally getting into the operational side of things, which is the staff purview in the operations of the city. And so we're bringing the proposal to you that we thought was the best option to go forward. And so looking at doing changes like that, it as the director noted, wouldn't be fair to the other bidders, and so it would start the process over again. We would not have stairs in this year. If throughout the project staff notices that there's tweaks that can be made, that's within our purview to be able to do that within the budget that's approved. And so that just falls under the operational side. So I just want to make sure that I'm pointing that out.
Jump in right quick though, and I'm going to go to Commissioner Keener and we'll follow up with Commissioner Cochin. I had heard about concerns about the width of the stairs as well, so I also had gone down there and measured it, and the walkway leading to the new stairs is On the inside is 4 feet 2 inches. And so the stairway itself going, or the walkway going to the new stairs, and then also the stairs that exist elsewhere on there, had 4 feet 4 inches on the inside. And so what has been proposed is consistent with the existing infrastructure at Cruzy Park. But in terms of concerns about width, because I think there's some legitimacy in terms of the volume of use and the use by with dogs as well, that creates a different dynamic versus just people. If there is an interest by the community to widen the boardwalk or their stairs in general, that's where I think that feedback is incredibly important to be received as part of the individual master plan that's going to be done for Cruzy Park, because that individual master plan is looking at revamping the entire boardwalk potentially. And so that's where we go like, hey, we want a boardwalk all throughout that's wider. And so I think that is a legitimate concern that we certainly need to be carried forward and discussed about with the boardwalks and stairways and how it's utilized. I'm going to come back to you, Commissioner Cochin.
No, you've answered
Oh,
for me.
okay. Commissioner Cochin.
Thank you. Is there a plan in place, like maybe an idea that once we get this in, that we will put the Moby mats, somewhere down there once we have the master plan finished out, so that we would have that access once we had that lift chair that you guys were discussing?
Yeah, we wouldn't put the lift without a Moby mat. It'd be really would be pointless.
Kind of rude.
And
Well, I mean, yeah, that's another concern is that it's a $2 million project that leads you to an extremely inaccessible location. So we would do whatever we could to, and the Moby mats were for what they cost and for how much they've, I've gotten emails how much they improved the quality of life over at Harbortown. So we're very happy with those.
yes, and thank you so much for all your work that you've done to work with Disability Network. I know that when we spoke, even before you had spoken with them, that you said that accessibility was a priority of yours. And I do know that is something that is important to you, and I appreciate your hard work in that arena. And I know that this solution is not the answer that I think any of us want. I think we were all hoping for something a little bit different, but we have to work within our budget. And I hope that we don't see an increase. I wouldn't say an increase. I hope we don't see continual people going around the stairs because they can't go down because there's dogs coming up, and so we don't see more erosion of our dunes due to that choice.
Yeah, and I feel that, I definitely agree, with the wider the better. However, someone who doesn't want to be by dogs probably isn't going to be by a dog, even if it's 8 feet wide. But that's definitely a concern too, is are people still going to, because to the left of where the stairs would be, there's some solid erosion as well. So, yeah, that whole dune in general is, there's an environmental aspect to this too, that we're trying to save a very active dune. In our, our rec department, we later in it's consented, but we have a software platform so we can start doing programs, and dune hikes guided dune hikes is a big part of that, and so our dunes are important to us, and so there's the mobility aspect, and there's just so much that goes into this, but environmental is definitely a concern.
Follow-up, Commissioner Cochin?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Director. I'm just trying to visualize. It's been a long time since I've been at that park. Is this the old Bronson Park?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that's how long it's been since I've been out there. Okay. And and I was reading in the packet, it says it's important to notice that the stairs will not, solve the issue with the access. So are you looking to, once the stairs are there, what are the next phase that you're looking to do?
Yeah, the master plan is, having an individual master plan by a firm that does master planning. That would be the point, is to facilitate public engagement for what we want to do. For instance, that's why I have someone quoting me what a dune lift would be right there, because we want to have all these options to bring to the table. It might end up being the same $2 million plan. I guess I just don't like plans that collect dust. I That's very common in Parks and Rec to have a lot of plans that we're going to do eventually. We'll put them on a shelf, and that's just not a good solution to me. But it
So-
would fulfill the big need
Right.
to have, but it's just there's a big price tag on it.
Yeah.
So it really depends what's identified through that, and that would be a point to it too. Is there anything we can identify that's more affordable than this?
Okay. And once, this is implemented, or it gives you momentum to just go ahead, probably the credibility, say, hey, now we need this, and you come back to the commission.
Yeah, well, that would be really, I mean, we have the Parks Master Plan, a capital improvement plan that we're creating. That would be, have to be approved by the Parks and Recreation Committee, and then I would bring it to the commission for the final approval. So that's where you would see the laundry list of issues that we have and how we're trying to prioritize it. And we'd see right there how that 2 million would fit into it. We have so many issues that, this round of master plan, there's a big focus on rehabbing what we currently have. So, maybe it's a big point of the next master plan, but I don't want to speak out of turn. It really, there's a couple governing bodies, including you all, that would approve these plans first. So it's kind of hard to make that determination at this point.
Okay, one last question. And you said it's a dog park. Now, is that gated, or, like I said, it's been a while since I've been down there?
No, it's just a beach. It's kind of nice and tucked away. You got the dune there. There's not a road right there, so you're supposed to keep your dogs on a leash. Of course, it's a dog beach. Well, I shouldn't even say some people don't, but I've heard rumors some people don't have their dogs on a leash down there. So no, there's no gate. It's just a nice open beach. But unfortunately, right now, if it's unsupervised, nice open beach that only somewhat younger people can get to. So
Yeah.
do the math there, and that would lead to.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Keener.
I appreciate what you all are doing, and I'm with Rebecca, and we don't want to pit what our ideal solution with against what you're basically working with what you got. And I can appreciate that because, like you said, I'm not young no more, and that's a place I love to go. Even with my dogs, even when we had the whiff that it was, you're kind, you're patient on the steps. You step away to the side, you let the other person go. So it's like the back and forth where I just appreciate that you are given a solution after 4 years of not being able to even get down there anymore.
Yeah, thank you. And that's another issue is that Cruzy Park deserves a lot of help. They have a large boardwalk that goes up into the dunes. It's in rough shape. That's well over $1 million to fix that up and restore that. So and they also have a playground that's, getting close to the end of its life, in a parking lot that's, dilapidated, a large one, and pavilions that need help. Really, the bathroom building they have outside of that, the park needs a lot of TLC. So trying to make sure that we find solutions to, improve all the parks, and specifically Cruzy, and that we can do everything that it needs. Because I do know that when it comes time to come up here for for what the plan is for the rest of the boardwalk, that's going to be passionate too. Because people love that, and it's absolutely beautiful as well. So take into account all the elements here and all the issues and this is just one park of 34. So.
Any follow-up, commissioners? Any additional questions? Commissioner Cochin.
You did an excellent job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Director Cochin. Thank you, Director Karcheski. I just promoted you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
I'm thinking.
Speak your heart, girlfriend.
I know. Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Oh, he started. Okay. I just want to make sure Commissioner German was in there. I think you started with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Next item is L. Social District Permit for Break Beer Project. Commissioner Kilgo.
Motion to approve the resolution recommendation by the MLCC approval of social district permit in downtown Muskegon Social District for Rake Beer Project LLC and to direct the city clerk to certify the commission's action with the MLCC.
Support.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Kilgo, supported by Vice Mayor St. Clair. And who's reporting out on this?
Dave.
Welcome, sir. If you could please introduce yourself.
Dave Alexander, Community Engagement Specialist, formerly with the downtown, and I was involved with the creation of the social district as staff liaison to it.
Hi, Dave.
How you doing, Commissioner? We help you.
Thank you for being here this evening. And I just have some questions about the social district. I kind of see that this one, they were good, but they changed their license type. And so it has to get reapproved to be a part of the social district. Is that correct?
Correct. Their license type has not changed. Their location changed.
Okay.
And this is a redo of a mistake of an address. This commission has already approved this. The establishment in question had not gone through and taken your recommended approval and received the license from the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, and now needs to do so, and we need to clean up the address on it. It was one digit off on the Western Avenue address. So what they needed to do, they moved from Pine Street at 794 North Town Center and the lower level where they have been, to 500 Western, which is the Noble Building, and they have been operating in there, but not with a liquor or with a MLCC social district permit. Gotcha. And now with your recommendation, that will be able to be obtained from the LCC.
Awesome. And then last question from me, can you just explain where our social district is?
Our social district is quite large. That was an intended recommendation of staff and one that was accepted by the commission. It goes from 8th Street down Western to Pine Street and 2 blocks of Pine from basically Western Avenue through Muskegon. It also goes up 3rd Street to Hackley Park, and that was an addition that was added on a year or two after its inception. And it goes to the properties along Western Avenue, but does not cross to the north of Shoreline Drive.
Awesome. Thank you.
And there's 22, 23, 21, depending on who's going for their various permits each year, because it's an annual permit that they get added to their license, establishments in the district.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo. Vice Mayor St. Clair?
I
Anything?
don't have anything.
All right. Commissioners, any questions or comments on this item? Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Alexander, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Commissioner.
This location is moving on Western Avenue. Where about in that, what vicinity in Western?
They are in what used to be the Pigeon Hill location. Pigeon Hill had moved out when they went to Sociable. They did not have a second location on Western Avenue. And as that opened up, The owner of Rake Beer found that this was more advantageous just in terms of visibility, especially for our special events that are happening within the district there, and has been successful. He also added coffee at the time, and this was last summer. So he is now facing a summer season where he would like to also be part from that location, part of the social district. He was part of the social district in the Pine Street location. There just was not a lot of need for that type of beverage service down there.
Okay. And he's completely leaving the Pines
He's
location.
left. They moved in
He's gone,
mid
okay.
last summer.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dave,
Commissioner Keener?
so just to be clear for the public, Rake has been in operation.
Rake has been in operation
Had
since
great facility
the
on
inception
Pine.
of the social district.
Yep, it has been on Pine, and I love them, so.
Yep.
But, and then chose a different location.
He had
for
moved to
more-
his location with a change of lease to the next building, which is the one at 500
So
West Western.
technically, nothing is changing, but there has changed, but their location, and they've been in their location for what?
Since
2
July.
ye- Okay,
Of 23.
so nothing has changed except
Nope.
their location.
Yeah, from his operational standpoint and what he's doing as he interfaces with the social district has not changed. Just the location, and the MLCC wants a new recommendation from you on that change location.
And we already approved it, but there was a typo in the end.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know whose, it was probably my number faux pas, but we will correct that number with this resolution.
Okay, excellent. And there's, in addition to that business at Rake Beer Project, they also have the Overgrown Coffee Company.
Yes.
Yes,
sign
he's
up for all
added
options.
coffee, and quite truthfully, just with the traffic, he was doing nearly as much business with the coffee only, because when he opened up, he did not have the LCC license to start producing and serving the beer product from that new location, and he was nearly doing as much just with coffee as he was doing with beer down there. So when he brought the beer in later in the summer, it has been a win-win for him, and I think for the downtown and its social district.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments at this time, Commissioners? Nope. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes,
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next up, item M, allocation of remaining ARPA community grant funds. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Thank you. I move to authorize the distribution of $150,000 from the city's ARPA Community Grant Fund to the following entities: $25,000 to Mediation and Restorative Services, $10,000 to HBCU Club of Muskegon LLC, $50,000 to Forest Tax and Accounting Service, and $65,000 to Muskegon Retirement Services, Inc. I think that's supposed to be DBA. Jefferson Towers.
second.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Mayor St. Clair, supported by Commissioner Keener. So this was on our work session last night. We discussed it then and had a report out. What are your thoughts or follow-up, Vice Mayor St. Clair, or questions?
Thank you. Director Wells, can you give us the 30-second snapshot of what we're doing here tonight? I'll
So-
give you a minute.
Yeah, 365 days ago, we were here, and you approved $1.6 million allocation of American Rescue Plan Act dollars to create this ARPA Community Grant Program. We're very pleased with the interest in the program. We've received 60 applications. There was a creation of an ARPA American Rescue Plan Act Review Committee, 6 members, 4 of which were from the public, representing all of your wards. We met multiple times last summer. There was a rating criteria process by which they reviewed the applications for completeness and viability and things of that nature. Very complete process, and there was a 21 projects were recommended, or 22 were recommended by the review committee. There was a conflict of interest issue with Commissioner Gorman at the time that was unresolved when you had approved those applications. That issue and that application from Pioneer Resources came back. There was a requirement that vote be unanimous. That was not a unanimous vote. $150,000 went back into the pool, so to speak, and staff is recommending the projects that you mentioned in the motion based on, I think they're all great projects. We're really looking at just with these remaining finite resources, stretching these dollars as much as we can to create the biggest community impact that we have here. So, 1 minute.
Nicely done. While I am sorry that the Pioneer Resources opportunity did not come to pass, I'm really excited about these additional grant opportunities. The entities that are proposed for these funds are, in my opinion, doing fantastic work and really well receiving of this kind of support, and I'm really excited about these.
I think an offshoot of this entire exercise is really creating more partnerships with the city and all of these applicants, all 60, so that we didn't maybe expect to be in this position, but we can at least build those relationships with these entities and organizations and nonprofits and small businesses and continue to come alongside them and support them in what they're doing.
Thank you, Vice Mayor St. Clair. Commissioner Keener, do you have anything to add or ask at this time?
No, I'm very happy with though saddened with Pioneer Resources, but very happy with the decision for the four that have been recommended. They're just great services, businesses in this community, and provide resources for so many people.
Thank you, Commissioner Keener. Commissioner Cochin.
Thank you, Director Wills, for coming in tonight and putting this together. I just wanted to ask you a question to see if maybe you can explain for the folks up here and the folks at home how you guys came upon the dollar amounts for each organization out of that 150,000.
Yes. So all four mediation restorative services have initially requested $25,000. All applicants could pursue any increments between $25,000 and $250,000. So mediation restorative services requested $25,000. That being the floor, we're suggesting to fund 100% of that project. Forest tax and accounting services, they requested $250,000 to continue to build out their business and do what they can to support the Apple Avenue corridor. And we're requesting your consideration of $50,000 that I think will continue to propel that project forward as well. Muskegon Retirement Apartments, DBH Everson Towers, they requested $250,000 on almost a $500,000 window project. We do think that the $65,000 can again propel that project. I believe they have some other resources that can come alongside those dollars to make considerable improvements in the windows that I understand are north of 50 years old in that facility. So, and then HBCU Club of Muskegon LLC requested $75,000. We think $10,000 can get them started. We think that that's a great organization within the community, and we'd like to work with them on college tours and the career preparation exercises that they're involved in. And so it was really just remaining dollars that we had and stretching them as far as we could.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes. On the topic, my friends at the HBCU Club of Muskegon, they are sending some of our students on the college tour, and they just put out a post that I saw and shared, and it's really important for some of our students to be able to see. Some students can't even go visit Michigan State University or Michigan University, and some of these students have the opportunity to go down south or in other parts of our country and see some of these colleges. So I think that's a blessing. So I'm glad to see that we supported them. One of the things that I just wanted to say is I love that our city does a really good job of finding grants and finding money opportunities to spread the wealth throughout the city. There currently is a community development block grant that's open until next Tuesday, and it still has opportunities for people to apply for monies that may help grow our city in different ways. So our city staff is here to answer questions. So whether you're here in the audience or you're watching on Facebook, if you have questions, contact the city. We will help explain some of these things to you so that more people can have opportunities to, just get that jump start, kind of like you were saying, that maybe a small business or somebody has a great idea for a project that would be good for our city, and there's possibly money to help them start that and do that. So
It's absolutely the intention of these one-time limited federal dollars to do just what these folks are proposing to do.
Thank you, Commissioner Kogo. Commissioner Sherman.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director Wills. I think these organizations are definitely credible for receiving funds. Although I would like to have seen more, that was my whole reasoning for requesting an additional $500,000 to fund these organizations, to make sure everyone would actually have an option or opportunity to get their business started, but that was not the case. And as for the Jefferson Towers, I know that that project that they are looking to start, this would definitely help them get it started. And as Commissioner Kilgo stated with the HBCU Club, I'm familiar with that organization as well. Looking at it, $1.6 million again, and it's very perplexing, and I say this unapologetically, that more organizations should have received funding, because when we sat and talked and made the agreement to extend the option to other organizations such as neighborhood associations, we stated, and Commissioner Hood at the time mentioned, that some of these organizations were not set up to be able to write a grant or be able to function, and I thought it was a disservice to them, and they were not selected. And as for with $1.6 million, again, I'm gonna ask you, Director Wills, was that $1.6 million outside of the $150,000 that we have here? Did all of that go to the grants for these grant opportunities for businesses, nonprofit organizations?
The entirety of the $1.6 million,
Yes.
the intention is that.
Yep. I mean, yes or no?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, it did. So
What we're
we
doing
had
here tonight, because what we're doing right now is allocating the final portion of the 1.6
So
million.
this was all that we had remaining. That's what I'm asking. Out of the $1.6 million that was designated for the grant process.
Within this grant program, yes.
Okay, great. That's what I needed to know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sherman. You do have the option, because we do have another item on the ARPA agenda here. We, as a commission, as you recall, when we set up this program, had initially established it at $1.5 million, and then increased it to $1.6 million. And in part due to your prompting and advocacy, raised that to $1.6 million. If you are interested in adding another $400,000 to get to $2 million, which was the original intent in the past, you certainly are welcome to advocate for that. And oppose the allocation, because the next item that we're going to be getting to is allocating a remaining ARPA dollars, total ARPA dollars, not the community ARPA grant program, but the remaining ARPA dollars period that we have left, that's being proposed for a new fire truck. So that is your choice. If you wish to advocate not going towards the fire truck and instead put that in the community ARPA grant program, that's certainly your right to advocate for that. I just wanted to point that out, because that's also on the agenda, and we're about to vote on that in a moment.
Well, just to follow up, I don't think it's a bad idea. Again, when the opera dollars was distributed to the local municipalities, it was to serve communities that was really impacted by COVID. And you have a lot of startup businesses, also governments that really had hardship. Is there a need, and since you brought this up, for the city to purchase another fire vehicle?
Point of information. Can we just wait until that item and get the chief?
Oh,
up
we're not.
here
Yeah,
so
we're not delving into
okay.
that item right now.
no.
I'm just raised that is forthcoming, but we're not going to entertain questions about that item at this time. Commissioner Keener.
Sorry. Again, for the public, is there a list of who the funds were allocated to and how much they received?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone can go and see, and pretty much everyone that applied for a certain dollar amounts, as long as they met the criteria, the point system, they pretty much got just about what they requested or close to it.
We have a dedicated ARPA community grant page on our Connect Muskegon page. It's got a lot of good, helpful information for folks to click on and see really what you approved last year, as well as the activities of the review committee.
And lastly, and I hate to do this, like keep going beating it, because we did this yesterday, so I'm sorry I had to keep asking these questions. But for public, again, can you detail what that committee looks like so that the public knows that it was the city tried to be as fair as possible with distributing those funds?
You said what the review committee looked like?
Yes.
So we had six total members. We had the city manager, as well as Sharonda Carson, our director of community neighborhood services, and then we had Mr. Lawrence Baker, representative of Ward 1, Leon Howard of Ward 2, Jennifer Sanaki of Ward 3, and Nina Lees from Ward 4, as well as 2 advisors from the Community Foundation, as well as United Way of the Lakeshore, assisting us in that process.
And of those, how many were women?
3?
Wow.
How many were of color?
3.
How many were business owners or involved in community orgs?
I don't know if
No, we didn't get that.
they're all involved, I think, throughout the community.
And to be clear, there were no commissioners on that committee because that's when I was running. I was originally supposed to as a ward member. And that's just how fair they were. I had to step off myself, just to be clear with how you all tried your best to be fair.
Yep, absolutely.
We were intentional in not having elected officials, endeavoring to depoliticize the process. Mr. Manager, you have something to add?
Yes, and just to kind of add a little bit more context to the committee as a member of the committee. So when the grant applications came to us, we didn't have purposefully from the commission, there wasn't a lot of instruction on how to go about reviewing the application. So we talked about it amongst ourselves on the best way to do it. So we came up with the way it was reviewed, how they were rated, and then which we did independently of one another, and then came back together to have those conversations. Because initially we started to go application by application, and we one, that was going to take a really long time, but 2, we wanted to make sure that the 6 of us were all making independent judgments, and then coming back together to have the discussion and advocating or talking about things that we saw differently. That if we had had it as a discussion as a group initially, might have resulted in some groupthink. So there were some good discussions that came out of it because we all looked at those independently and then came back. So.
Thank you. That's all.
And it was also asked, and I know we shared this last night, but it was asked earlier, so just sharing it again, that the grants up to today had been issued to 4 neighborhood associations, 5 small businesses, 13 nonprofit organizations, 12 of which were women or minority-owned businesses or organization proposals, and another 8 proposals, or of those 8 proposals, or 8 of those proposals were focused on serving the youth, our community youth, and 3 proposals were pertaining to expanding access to new housing options for residents. With the 4 that are on our agenda today, all of them are either women owned or women operated or led. And
We also have them
2 of them are people of color who are operating them as well.
We also have projects by ward as well, if you're interested in that. So.
And breaking it down by ward, yeah. So it got dispersed throughout the city, and a lot of very great and worthwhile organizations. And yeah, you can look at all of that on the city's website. If you go to shorelinecity.com and then find Connect Muskegon, and you find the project page for our ARPA funds. And you can see how we've allocated not only the community ARPA grant program, but how we've allocated ARPA funds, period. Because we wanted to make sure that we were being as transparent as possible and making sure that information is available to our community. So any other questions or comments at this time? Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Thanks. I just have one more point of information. Looking at the Connect Muskegon page, a total of 60 applications were received requesting nearly $8 million in funding. So out of $1.6 million that was out there to allocate, $8 million was requested. So, and 21 of the projects were approved. And if we pass this tonight, that'll get us to 24. Not quite half of the requested, but a very solid showing.
Any other final questions or comments? Thank you, Director Wills, for your work on this, and I'm excited to see this final money being deployed and for the benefit of these worthwhile entities, but also for the benefit of our community. Thank you. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, O, allocate city ARPA funds for new fire truck.
You were saying
Motion.
oh.
What?
No, sorry. The way you said oh, I didn't realize that was the idea.
All right. Motion to allocate the remaining city ARPA funds of $435,000, $435,133.40 to purchase a 2023 Spartan Star from CSI Emergency LLC.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Kilgo, supported by Vice Mayor St. Clair. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Timothy Colesville, Public Safety Director, City of Muskegon. Good evening.
Good evening. Would you like to report out on this request?
Certainly. Give a little quick synopsis. As the agenda item indicates, back November 14th of last year, the Commission approved the purchase of a new 2023 Spartan Star pumper. This will replace our Engine 25, which is a 2010 Spartan that has 137,000 miles. And I will say that 137,000 miles on an engine is very excessive. It's really at its life's end, but we're not counting in also those engine hours that when that engine actually running, which is exponential on top of it. So I've been a big proponent of trying to be fiscally responsible when we're looking at these type of purchases, because every year when especially this last year when I'm budgeting our new ladder and our new Engine 23, we're paying a good 7% interest on our $1 million loans, plus. So every meeting that we've had, I've always tried to look for different things that can assist, and I know that I've talked to the city manager and Pete about this a lot, and when this money that I was told in one of the meetings is possibly available, I just push for that to go towards this purchase that will arrive in 2025 to try to offset our costs, to try to really cut back on that interest that we'll be paying. And I know that myself and the city manager have also talked about over hopefully in the next year or two in our budget cycles, maybe we'll be able to put a little more money aside just to try to offset that cost of this particular vehicle. That's why we're here today.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. You have something to add?
Yes. So I'd also like to add some context on this recommendation. So as we were looking at some of the balance of the ARPA funds and where we were recommending that it would be used, this was also a discussion of the senior staff. Every Wednesday morning, senior staff gets together, talks about different things that are going on in the city and about decisions like this. And there was a consensus, rather easy consensus among the senior staff that this was a logical use of these dollars because it falls within, well, one, we've already ordered the trucks, we have to pay for it. Two, it falls within the allowable uses for ARPA dollars. As one expense, it makes it easy for finance to track and report to the federal government, which we need to do for every dollar that we expend on ARPA. And we haven't invested any of our dollars, I believe, in public safety at this point. As the senior staff, when we had this discussion, it was about a 30-second discussion, and everyone said, no, we think this is the right use for it.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Commissioner Kogo?
Thank you for being here again, Chief. Another late night for you, but I know that we've had a discussion. My father was a firefighter, so I'm very familiar with the miles and the maintenance and things like that. Can you just tell the public a little bit about our current fleet? I know that we have 3 firehouses in the city. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then just what our current fleet looks like, because we're going to have to maintain and keep it up so we can protect our city.
Yes, when I arrived here, we tried looking at what we actually have for our fleet. There was a new ladder that was purchased, and actually I think about a month after I got here that came into service. And then after I arrived, we wanted to purchase a new engine to go out of our central station, which is our station number 3. That is one of the most used engines, not only in the state but in the nation, as far as how many times it comes out of the barn. Then we have the Marquette station, which is our engine 5, which will be engine 25. That engine has been one of our most serviced engines recently. We've put a lot of money into servicing it. I've put a new rear end in it, new tires, and I think we also had a pump issue on that just recently. So as these things age, of course, you have more and more problems. And then we have Station 4, where our ladder is based out of over on Lakeside.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kogo. Vice Mayor St. Clair?
I don't think I have anything to add.
All right. Commissioner Cochin?
Thank you so much for bringing this tonight, Chief Kozel. I wanted to let you know that we really appreciate everything that you guys do in the fire department. And I was wondering if you can elaborate a little bit more about the opportunities for this new truck, as far as having to regen versus our current truck that we would be replacing.
Do that last part again?
Can you elaborate to the commission and the city some of the opportunities for this new truck, some of the newer features in regards to it compared to the older truck?
I would say that this particular model was one of the first models where we had the regen issues with the diesel, which has caused us a lot of heartache. So this updated model, and I will say that I pushed for this purchase back last year so we could get in line to try to have this particular engine, because the next models will be another $250,000 cost for us. So we were able to get in for this type of cost, number one. But number two, with the updated features that we have on our new engines, it's going to be top notch for our firefighters to be able to maintain this for our citizens. It will allow us also to be able to maintain a fleet that once an engine goes down, we can have an engine take its place. We were coming to a couple times over just my 18 months where we didn't have backups anymore. We've actually had a time, I think, that we had to utilize some of our neighbors and their actual apparatus to be able to maintain fire service for our citizens. So this allows us to keep that fleet and have those backups.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Commissioner German?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Johnson. Director Kozel, could you give me just an estimate of what is the life cycle on a vehicle like engine 23?
The NFPA is recommended 15 years.
Okay.
However, I look at, like I stated in the beginning, the amount of miles that are driven and your amount of engine hours, and we're well exceeded that right now.
Chief NFPA.
Sorry?
What's NFPA?
National Fire Protection Association, I believe, yes. That's a standard that we abide by for recommendations that we look at for everything that we do. The span of period that we have for our bunker codes, for what level of training you should have to be a battalion chief. It's a nationwide standard.
Okay. In this vehicle that you're requesting, this is one of the vehicles that pumps water, correct?
Oh, yes. It's
Yeah.
one of our frontline
Yeah.
engines, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've seen it in action just recently. Well, not too long ago, off of Pine and Apple Avenue, the serious, unfortunate fire, and I mean, the fire department did an excellent job, and I actually stayed out there probably for about an hour. but just seeing it in action and see what these firefighters do to put their life on the line and the equipment that's needed. So I understand the request for something like this. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Commissioner Keener, do you have anything to add or ask at this time?
I've been just saw it recently, and I'm all in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Kozel. We've been intentionally upping our investments in our fire department and our firefighters in recent years. It's a continuation of that, and I appreciate the work that you did to act swiftly in securing us in the front line for this, and so we have those cost savings. And I do believe that this proposal of how to use these ARPA funds is a fiscally prudent way to help finance this new truck, this new engine that will be coming forward. And we had to have that purchase it well in advance anyhow, because it takes so long for them to be constructed and equipped and get to us. But I'm excited for that new engine to arrive next year. Thank you, Chief Kozel.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Right, that concludes our consent agenda. Well, the items removed from the consent agenda. Now we're moving on to unfinished business. There are no public hearings scheduled for this evening. With regard to unfinished business, that's the acquisition of vacant lot at 748 Catherine for infill housing from Muskegon Land Bank. This had been on our January 23rd, 2024 general session meeting and tabled to tonight. And so, to take it back up from the table, may I have a motion?
Yeah. Motion to approve the purchase of the vacant lot at 748 Catherine for the sum of $3,500 as presented and directed to the staff to close on the property.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Kilgo, supported by Vice Mayor St. Clair. And who's reporting out on this? Welcome, sir. If you would kindly introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Jake Eckholm, Director of Development Services, City of Muskegon. This should be a really quick item. I just need you guys to quickly vote no on it because, as you may recall, the land bank director had fallen ill and had not let the staff know that at the most recent land bank board meeting, the land bank board had elected to sell this lot to a citizen with adjacent property. Followed up after the meeting, and the land bank director was waiting on a few documents required for that sale from that individual. They have since gotten those documents, and they anticipate moving forward with that sale. So we no longer request to purchase this lot.
Thank you. I don't think there's going to be any questions there on that. Then we are going to. So now the recommendation is for no. Just to be clear.
Indeed.
The current recommendation is to vote no on this. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
No.
Mayor Johnson,
No.
Commissioner Kilgo,
No.
Commissioner Keener,
No.
Commissioner German,
No.
Commissioner Cochin.
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you. New business. Hackley Public Library Agreement. Manager's Office. So that we may proceed, can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the agreements as presented and authorize the city manager to sign.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Cochin, supported by Commissioner German. This is coming out of the manager's office. So bring us up to speed, please.
So this is just kind of a housekeeping item, but we did want to have it under new business because it is a agreement between multiple entities within the city. So currently, the oh my gosh, I just lost my thing. The Torrent House is owned by the school district, and it will be transferring ownership to Hackley Public Library. When the school district took ownership of the house, the city has first right of refusal on the sale of the property if it goes to anything other than a nonprofit. Essentially, what we're doing here is acknowledging that Hackley Public Library is indeed a nonprofit, and this does not trigger our first right of refusal. Our first right of refusal is still maintained under this agreement between the school district and Hackley Public Library, and essentially what I'm signing is just an acknowledgement that we're in agreement with the transfer. So if Hackley Public Library was to ever sell the building to any entity other than a nonprofit, we would have first right of refusal to match the price, or if it was to go to a nonprofit, we would go through this exercise again. And the school district has asked, and I believe the library also has asked, that we maintain our first right of refusal to have that insulation for the Torrent House.
Thank you. Commissioner Cochin?
I don't have any questions about that at all.
All right. Commissioner German, any questions?
questions.
All right, I'm open up to the rest of the commission. Any questions or comments on this item? Nope. All right, then we're going to go to roll call, please.
Commissioner Cochin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo?
Yes.
Commissioner Keener?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Well, that concludes our business for this evening. Is there, I'm going to go to public comment. No, is there any other business before I go to public comment on non-agenda items or general public comment? Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Very quickly, I would like to remind the commission and the community that we do still have some open opportunities on the various boards and commissions that citizens can serve on. We did not have the opportunity to fill out all of those positions, so if you are interested in serving, there is still opportunity for you to find your place. And a reminder to the commissioners that you were tasked with finding us some people. So this is your reminder.
Thank you, Vice Mayor St. Clair. Anything else for any other business at this time? No? Okay, I'm going to open up to general public comment. And first up, we have George Brunetti, joining us from the Lakeside neighborhood. Welcome, sir. You have up to 3 minutes to provide your remarks.
Well, forgive me, I come to you guys tonight, or y'all, ladies and gentlemen, out of desperation. I'm property manager for Jones Investing. We have a building on Peck Street. We're trying to put 10 apartments in it. We got a hold of the DPW to run a fire sprinkler line. Our understanding is that line is supposed to run to our property line. They stopped about 11 feet short of that. And they've offered every solution except coming out and running the other 11 feet that we paid them to run. And we can't get any resolution on it. We've had them offer us the materials and our guy can put it in, and we've had them, we'll do this, or we'll give you $1,000 back. You know, it's like, we just want it done so that we can proceed with our project. And I just hoping that the commission can light a fire under somebody and get the situation resolved.
We're going to get you connected with our DPW director so we can have that chat after this meeting and for a follow-up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Kyle Reed joining us from the City of Norton Shores by way of 3rd Street. Welcome, sir. You have up to 3 minutes to provide your remarks.
Appreciate it. Thank you. What I have here is a call to action for downtown Muskegon in regards to panhandling and loitering. So essentially, during the summer, we experienced a significant uptick in panhandling and loitering in front of the businesses in downtown Muskegon. Look, we know the issue is complex. It is hard to solve. But we want to be part of that solution, okay? Our recommendation as business owners in the downtown area is a 3-pronged approach, essentially. It's awareness, which means it's important to understand that citizens and tourists understand that providing food, money, and services to people who are soliciting only exacerbates that problem. And it's important that we direct people towards services and resources. So if you want to give somebody money, maybe give them a ride to something. We need to get that message out, and collectively we can make that happen. The resources got to be there, part 2. We need to find some way to allocate these resources or gather someplace where they can easily access them and information as well is accessible. And then enforcement. 90% of the problem is taken care of by those first two things, awareness and resources. But there's a smaller portion of it that does require enforcement. Our recommendation is that we create a downtown Muskegon ordinance that says you can't solicit without a permit within 50 feet of a commercial property entrance. The permit's $10 for nonprofits, $100 for LLCs, corporations, sole props, and the licenses can be waived for special events with city approval. Look, here's the thing, it's complicated. You can't just say, oh, people can't ask for things on the street. That's a First Amendment issue at the end of the day. But we're not able to come up with a solution currently. We are trying to have individual conversations with these folks. It's not effective. So we're feeling a little bit powerless in the situation and trying to maintain some humanity while we're dealing with unhoused folks and, you know, the myriad of things that drive people to do these things. I have, I don't know, 30 plus businesses in downtown Muskegon that have signed on to this. What this is us extending our hand. We want to be part of the solution. We want to work with the city and the citizens to get some action going towards this. This is the first step towards doing that. So here we are. We want to help. We want to work with you. And together, I think we can get this handled. We know it's complex. We don't expect like a slam solution, but this is the starting point. Thanks, guys. Look forward to reaching out to you and having conversations about it in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Appreciate you joining us this evening. This is my final form from the audience, so if you do wish to give public comment, I encourage you to complete the form with your name and home address. I will not be sharing your home address nor asking you to announce your home address, but that is for internal records. So after this in-person comments, we're going to be going to the phone, and that number is 724-231-724-6721, I believe?
Yes.
From memory? Okay. 724-6721. Don't call in just yet. We have one more in-person comment, and then we'll be welcoming phone calls. And that would be Jessica Plicta joining us from Fruitport. Originally from the city of Muskegon?
Yeah, I'm right here in Muskegon. Well, my mom lives in Fruitport, dad lives in Muskegon, so it'd be like that. I'm sure most of y'all know. So.
Excellent. Well, welcome. You have up to 3 minutes to provide your remarks.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jessica Plicta. I'm a student at Muskegon Community College. I'm lonely. One of my peers had work off tonight, so I came here to see you guys. This is my first city council meeting. Me and my peers are asking the city of Muskegon to support a resolution advocating for a ceasefire and a stand against hate and discrimination, which represents more than just a political statement, but it's a reassurance for us, people of Muskegon, that our safety and inclusion are valued. National surveys show that a majority of Americans want a ceasefire, and calls for that are growing, and this resolution represents all of those voices. There's no time to waste in getting this resolution passed, so I'd appreciate your support for one. International responses like those in Spain and calling for a ceasefire, and then the massive rally in Washington, D.C. reflects the global call for peace and an end to the massacre of a vulnerable population. Cities across the nation are passing resolutions as we speak, and including those local like Ypsilanti, Canton, Detroit, Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, Ann Arbor, and just last week, Ann Arbor Public School System has passed the ceasefire resolution. As well as within the last 12 hours, Lansing has passed a ceasefire resolution as well. Wayne County has passed a ceasefire resolution, as well as United Auto Workers, or the UAW, and teachers unions have joined them in the call for an end to the killing. Even corporations like Ben & Jerry's have called for a ceasefire. The bottom line is that staying silent is being complicit in what's going on, and it's pivotal in history that we citizens of Muskegon are on the right side of history, and this will be remembered. I urge you as our city council members and representatives to consider this resolution not as a political choice but as a moral imperative. This decision to support a ceasefire and a stand against hate is not just the right thing to do, it's a necessary step towards ensuring that everyone in a community feels safe and included. And of course, we can use any one of those already established solutions to create our own. Any questions? I don't know if I'm supposed to help answer any of your questions or not.
This is not a time for
Okay.
Q&A.
Okay.
Just receive your comments and input. We appreciate you joining this evening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of your guys' time and all that you do for the city. Thank you.
All right. I see Muskegon County Commissioner Jessica Cook in the audience. She did not submit a comment form, but I'm going to put her on the spot and invite her to the podium if she does want to give us on any updates or from Muskegon County.
You always give me that opportunity. Thank you so much. Jessica Cook, Muskegon County Commissioner for District 6. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm always just here to listen and support all the good work that you're doing and really support the public comment section of the meeting. It's just a great opportunity for me to hear about things that are going on in our community. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. All right, we are going to be going to phone now. That's 231-724-6721. If anyone wishes to phone in. When you call in, please turn down your television or audio and then announce your name and which neighborhood you might be living in. If you are in the city of Muskegon, which neighborhood? And if you're not a city resident, which city, township, or village you do live in. Any phone calls?
No, Mayor.
No? All right. Well, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor St. Clair, supported by Commissioner Kilgo to adjourn. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed,
Aye.
same sign. The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you. Take care and be well.